Investors hate to talk about losses, but in fact, there are a lot more lessons to learn from the losses that we make than from the wins that we record. In today's video, I want to talk about the lessons we can learn from the companies that were worst hit over the last 5 years at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Please stay tuned in. My name is Pius Moshire Mugo, the Managing Director of Nabo Capital, and you're watching Invest in Africa. So let's just revisit the bottom 10 companies over the last 5 years. And I have a list here. So there was Uchumi Supermarket, there was Athi River Mining, Deacons, Transcentury, Home Africa, Nairobi Business Ventures, East Africa Cables, Mumias, Kabacid, East Africa Portland. Yeah, and those are the bottom 10. These were the bottom 10 performers over the last 5 years. So what is the common thread in all these companies, or most of these companies? And the first thing that really strikes me is success. Some of these brands were quite well-known brands or iconic brands in our country. Take, for example, Uchumi. What a great has been an iconic brand in the country. So they were associated with great success. Athi River Mining was associated with great success. Deacons was associated with great success. Mumias, all of us, we've consumed sugar from Mumias. So how did they end up here? And what really struck us is that companies that have experienced great success, sometimes this is one of the triggers that leads them, or rather traps them to enter, to commit into something that can lead them into underperforming companies. So most of these companies, or companies when they're growing themselves towards their success, they have a tight hold on their purse. But once success comes in, then they loosen their tightness on the purse. And that leads me to the second observation. The second observation is that quite a number of these bottom tier companies engaged or were involved in a very rapid expansion strategy. If you look at, for example, Uchumi, at some point really increased the number of outlets. Athi River Mining came from one of the smallest cement companies to become one of the largest cement companies in East Africa. Deacons has also grown from just a very local brand to a company that was holding global, or rather global brands. If you look at Transcentury wants an inspiration for everybody in the country, especially investment group, being in this particular situation. So Mumias wants a household name, and everyone was consuming this their product. So they were all involved in one form of rapid expansion or the other, and that triggered the third thing that we observed, and this is suboptimal capital structure. And what do I mean by this? There are quite a number of situations that we can cite here where these companies used short-term funding to finance long-term projects. For example, some tend to use a lot more debt than where they could have actually used equity. If you look at, for example, Athi River Mining, probably if they raised equity funding 2-3 years ago, they probably would not be in this particular situation. Uchumi it is public knowledge that they used quite a bit of short-term money to finance long-term projects. So those are some of the three observations that we've made. Some additional ones that we saw is just around competition. The change in landscape. Uchumi was undisputed, the undisputed supermarket in the country. And today we have Carrefour, Nakumatt came in, overtook Uchumi. Uchumi has been back from the dead, I think 3 or 4 times. And every time they are back, the competition landscape has been significantly different. So trying to become what they have been in the past has not really worked. So some of these companies just need to change their business model to suit the environment that they are in, or in the competition landscape that they are in. The fifth one is just around ownership. Quite a number of these companies are thinly held, or the shareholding structure is highly fragmented. So you ask yourself, who is the owner of Uchumi Supermarket? People would tend to cite the government, but the government is actually not the largest shareholder. I think the largest shareholder is Jamii Bora with about 14% stake. So are they specialized? Are they as strategic investors for a retail business? And the answer is no. So there is one big lesson to take from this shareholding structure is that companies that tend to have strong strategic investors who are specialized in their core business tend to do better and tend to navigate through challenges better than companies that are thinly held, or the shareholding structure is highly fragmented. So those are our 5 key lessons that we take from the bottom performance over the last 5 years. So to wrap up all our lessons, or the 5 lessons, I would just put it in one sentence. Investment is all about the future. And in what is a good investment today is not necessarily going to be a good investment tomorrow. Investors must remain vigilant and on top of the investment selections that they make today, so that just to make sure that they remain relevant for tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I hope this video has been insightful and will help you to enhance your asset selection skills. If you want to engage us more on this particular subject, please feel free to write to us on the email address that is on the screen, or on the social media platforms that are also on the screen, or even call us on the phone number that is on the screen, or come to our offices at International House, 5th floor. We'll be more than happy to welcome you. My name is Pius Moshiro Mugo, the Managing Director of Nabu Capital, and you're watching Invest in Africa.